Welcome inside episode 457 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains after the NHL continued to postpone games. There's 2 left on the docket tonight before an official pause on the season between December 22nd and the 26th before your Senators are scheduled to return to action in Washington on the 27th. But Pilsy, the show must go on. And today we hit some power rankings.
Yeah, whenever there's a little dip in NHL action, it's always good to make some lists for people to get mad at. And that's what we're going to do here, Ross. But it is unfortunate games are getting postponed, but it probably is the right thing to do. And it's not that far in the future that we're going to get to see NHL action and World Juniors action.
Oh, fire me up for some World Juniors because we have Olympic news and it's not great. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Tuesday, December 21st, and Pilsy, it's officially official. The NHL and NHLPA are in agreement that the NHL players will not participate in the Beijing Olympics.
Yeah, I think we all saw this coming, and it's best for everyone. Now, I think the real question here is, well, not the real question, but a question I have is, what's going to happen with hockey in the Olympics now? Like, is it just completely wiped from the Olympics? Will they do it later?
No chance it's wiped, but the only question, I'm assuming it'll be the same pool of talent that people chose from in 2018. And guess what? I just can't believe I only realized it now. We could see Jake Sanderson representing Team USA.
Yeah,
Troy Terry went with Team USA. I would be shocked if he's not on their radar.
Well, and the Spengler Cup got canceled, so I assume a lot of the guys
pulled out.
Right. Sorry, my mistake. Canada pulled out, so a lot of those guys probably are going to be pretty stoked about this and that they maybe have an opportunity to go to the Olympics if they choose so, because still, if they didn't want to go to the Spengler Cup, maybe they don't want to go to the Olympics. So that's going to be very interesting to see how this all shakes out here.
Wow. You know the meme where the woman takes a sip of cola, or I think it's kombucha, and she makes like that, but then it's like kind of nice, and then that. So that's my verbal meme here. First picture, no NHLers at the Olympics, but then realizing Jake Sanderson could play there, it's all good now. No, but in all honesty, it sucks. No McDavid and Sidney Crosby on the same team. That's something that I was really excited to see. And of course, Canada's back-to-back champs with NHLers at the Olympics in Vancouver and then in Sochi. Frank Seravalli, an interesting last note on his tweet saying, the next question is, will the entire 2022 Olympics be postponed until 23? I think that's a pretty interesting question as well.
Yeah, well, it's like the 2020 Olympics being played in 2021, right? So maybe that's something that happens, but who knows here? And I guess that's what we all should hope for, right? Because right now would not be, well, not right now, but in February would not be, I assume, still not a good time to do the Olympics in China, having everyone from all over the world congregate in one place and then go back to their respective countries. Probably not a good idea right now. So if they just move the whole thing, that would be good. But there's a lot that goes into planning and scheduling and preparing an Olympics. It's not so easy just to be like, okay, we'll just do it a little later. There's a lot that goes into that.
Lots going into rescheduling games. Over 45 NHL games right now postponed, including 5, we said, right? For the Ottawa Senators?
If our math is correct, which we've been wrong before.
Hey, are we allowed to reschedule those games that should never have been played? Can we play Calgary at home again?
What are you talking about? The Sens have played Calgary this year?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, that
what do you mean?
Definitely didn't happen on a Sunday afternoon. On the second half of back-to-back, mind you, with 10 regulars out of the lineup. Like, the Islanders and the Sens, clearly guinea pigs of this whole NHL situation. But again, we knew going into the season that it was going to be tipsy-turvy with lots of different things happening that you don't often see. And, I mean, we've seen it all now, we think. of course, there's always surprises around the corner. The good news is it seems like the schedule will remain the same when they come back from this pause. And that means the Sens have a busy one coming up before they head out west for a 5-game road trip later on. But Pilsy, we got much more to get into. Also, I want to touch on this.
Do we have much more?
Oh, yeah. These power rankings are going to be contentious as we touch on the Sens' most improved player starting at the beginning of last season. So basically,
it's a 2021 year.
Exactly.
Review,
and
yes.
I want to do our homework here with the listener or the watcher. If you're watching on YouTube, you're always welcome to do that. I'm going to pull up some stats here in a second. Lots of numbers on this page. Don't let it overwhelm you, but it's interesting to see, because if you go from last season through this year, the Senators have played 84 games, which is now, I mean, once upon a time, that was a full NHL season. Now they play 82, but it's interesting to see kind of what the totals would be if you're looking at a situation where the Sens got to play a full 82 game season. And no surprise, 1, 2, 3 in the point column is the top line. Drake Batherson leading the way, 62 points in 79 games. Then Brady Tkachuk. I found this stat line to be maybe the most impressive, right? That's a full year for Brady. 29 goals, 29 assists in 81 games with 125 penalty minutes and 300 shots on goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the pace where you want Brady to be at. And that's above where I think a lot of non-Sens fans would put him. Like, I think a lot of them are just like, he's just a 45-point guy. He's not really going to be good enough to lead this team anywhere. Well, look at the numbers there when you put it in what seems like a distant dream, a regular 82-game season. I mean, that's 81, but you know what I'm saying. So for him to be right around the 60-point mark and to be even in goals and assists is pretty impressive.
It's cool. I like that a lot. But what this highlights too is the lack of depth. Check out the gap between Tim Stützle's 44 points at 6th, and this is the most surprising. Yeah. Chris Tierney is the 7th leading goal scorer. He's been on the 4th line this whole year.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God. That's the depth clearly is an issue with this team, and they rely on those top guys a lot. So that's something that's going to have to change here. And you need a little more chip in from the defensemen. I mean, you got Tom Chabot up there and then Zub, but after that, Mike Riley's the next closest guy. So definitely they need some help on the back end here.
Tied with Nikita Zaitsev, who's only played twice as many than Mike Riley's 40 games with the Ottawa Senators. Lots of red numbers here as well. You got to think that even strength goal differential needs to even out if this team wants to have any sort of success going forward. How much does Artem Zub's +9 stick out here in a situation where there's not a whole lot of green?
Yeah, that's definitely solid for Artem Zub. Yeah, there's a lot of red going on there. I was going to say it's looking like Christmas, but that's just red, not red and green.
Yeah, it's looking more like the Soviet flag, if anything. But you're looking at a situation where the Ottawa Senators now, they're at a stage in the rebuild where, and it's so frustrating that we haven't been able to see more of Erik Branstrom, because when I searched this up, I was reminded just how well he played last year, right? 13 points in 30 games.
Especially down the stretch, yep.
Plus player, 10 even strength points I found interesting out of his 13, because people see him and they're like, oh, he's going to be a power play quarterback. That's about it. No, a lot of his work was done at even strength. So I'm excited to see when Branstrom gets back. Could you imagine Branstrom gets back at the same time as Josh Brown and they sit him? I mean,
I can't imagine that. Yeah, I can see a world where that happens. I don't want to see that world. I don't want to be a part of that world, but I could see that. But with Nikita Zaitsev being out for I shouldn't say long term, but about 4 weeks. Yeah. That's going to give Branstrom an opportunity here. So hopefully he's really going to have to take advantage of that. And now that Victor Mete has paved the way for small puck-moving defensemen to play on their offside, he should have that opportunity. And Nikita Zaitsev, right shot, top 4 defenseman, that roster spot is now available for Branstrom to try to take hold of.
I had to scroll so far down to find Josh Brown's name when I sort it by points. If you think that he's tied in points with Jacob Bernard Docker, Adam Gaudette, Cedric Paquette, Matthew Pekka, and Alex Galchenyuk, you start shaking your head. He's got 2 less points than Christian Wolanin, who played 15 games. Now, Josh Brown's played 39 games. His next goal will be his first with the Senators. He's averaging 14 minutes of time on ice.
His last two.
A guy who they said was scratching the surface of his NHL potential when they acquired him for a 4th-round pick or a 5th. I always get what they gave up for him, Branstrom and Watson, all mixed up because they were just handing out draft picks for depth players after that 2020 draft, which is still looking like a good draft class. Lots of players with tons of potential, including Jake Sanderson, a name I brought up for the Olympics, but we know where he's going to be starting on Sunday at the World Juniors. We'll let you know when the pre-tournament game will go. December 23rd, every team will play a pre-tournament game, so we'll touch on that. We'll get into our power rankings and a whole lot more, but first, a word from our friends at Boost Mobile. Now, you listen to podcasts for the power of the inside track, but you switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money, because with Boost, you get the power of a free 5G phone so you can listen to the latest episodes of Locked On Senators and keep up with the Ottawa Senators. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line so your family can share all the insights. And the power of one of America's largest 5G networks. You can do it all at the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that edge you'll gain, just how powerful will you become? Switch to Boost Mobile and find out. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Free phone limited to new customers and one line. Additional restrictions apply. Offer coverage not available everywhere or for all phones or networks. See boostmobile.com for details. It's Boost Mobile, the power of saving money. All right, Pillsy. So it's time for power ranking, something that I think I want to add into the rotation here on Tuesdays. Good day for power rankings coming off the weekend. You get the recap on Monday. Tuesday, we get a good old rankings for you. Today, we're doing most improved players. Pillsy, you're going to give me your list, and I will ridicule it to no end, or maybe I'll agree with a part of it. Who's your number 5 most improved player in 2021?
So just as all lists should, we need to preface how this list was made and what kind of angles we're taking here.
Just so you get mad at the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And even Ross and I, when we're making our list, I feel like sometimes we're off on what each other are trying to do here. So just trying to clarify, and Ross, you can tell me if I'm wrong yet again on how we're trying to do this. But basically, it's since the NHL schedule is so weird now, we're not doing season reviews. It's like a yearly review. So from where we thought and expectations where players were in our minds at the start of last season, so January 14th, 2021, from where they are now, who has improved the most since before the start of that season to the end of this year? Is that sounding right?
Got it.
That's what we're working with. Okay, number 5, we are starting with the mythical creature, Artem Zub, because I took a time machine and took myself back to the start of January. And what did I think of Artem Zub? Well, gold medalist, not a big deal. He was a guy, coveted right shot defenseman coming from the AHL. He has lots of pro experience at a young age. He was very highly touted. A bunch of other teams wanted him. He came to Ottawa because he thought it was going to give him his best opportunity. And he was not played and healthy scratched. And
Taxi squad.
The taxi squad for a long time, too long. And even DJ Smith will say it's long. So going from what I thought, I was just hoping he could be a competent NHL defenseman. I didn't know where he's going to fit in the lineup. I don't know what was going to go on, but it's a right shot defenseman that we got for free, essentially, because he was a free agent pickup at a nice contract. And now I wouldn't say he's a top pair defenseman, but in his rightful place, he's playing on the top pair with Thomas Chabot. So that is definitely a major improvement from being a mythical, legendary defenseman to being either a top 2 or a top 4 guy, depending on how you want to slice it.
Yeah, he didn't play until January 31st was his first game. So you're looking at 2 straight weeks, and then he gets in the lineup and gets a point in each of his first 2 games. Now, one of my favorite ways to look at Artem Zub's career splits are looking at him January, February, March, And March is when they figured it out. May, of course, he had to play even more due to injuries with Thomas Chabot. But in January, he averaged 13 minutes a game. February, 16. And then by March, he was averaging 18:47, second most among all defensemen.
There you go.
Credit TJ Smith for understanding that he messed up and putting him on the top pair, and he's been a staple there. Or you move him on the second pair for the only reason of adding a second pair that can play NHL minutes.
Yeah.
So for him to be a stable presence this early in his NHL career, this is one of those guys, Pilsy, that we were talking about before. Like, he still hasn't played a full NHL season. He's 75 games into his career.
That's
23
wild.
points. 23 points, averaging almost 20 minutes. So that's great. This season, Pilsy, he's averaging almost 22. He's playing 21:56. Oh, man. What a fun player to watch. Great find by Peter McTavish out of the KHL.
Yep, definitely. So
he might be higher if I was to do this. We're just going to go off of your list, and I'll chime in. But I think I would probably have him maybe 3, maybe 4. Who do you have at 4?
That's fair. At 4, I've got Tim Stützle, because I think this one was tough because there was a lot of classic rose-colored glasses hype, right? It's a 3rd overall pick. He's got so much talent. He's one of the only guys that's actually playing in the NHL from that draft. Obviously Lafreniere, but there wasn't a lot of guys picked in the top 10 that actually played in the NHL from that draft class. So there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of excitement. But also he was playing on a team that was down bad and trying to figure themselves out. And it was not a great start for him. It took him a while. Well, once he got that first goal, kind of dried out for a bit there. But then at the end of last season, he really picked things up with the hat trick and collecting points there. And then his stock really soared, Ross, when they switched him to center. I think that was the biggest move for his NHL career, is getting to the center of the ice and being able to play a much more free-flowing game that allows him to skate and touch the puck more. So for me, Tim Stützle, from where I thought he was at the start of that season to where he is now, is the 4th most improved guy for me.
Right, because you thought he was Derek Stephan at the start of last season.
Yeah. Hey, I said he was going to get similar points, and look what happened. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
You know what? You did nail the fact that Derek Stephan's played center his whole career, and now looking back, and I'll openly admit, I saw some Panarin Kane qualities from him where you can work off the wing, but ultimately just the extra room he's getting at center. You got to think, what happened if he had this extra room earlier on in his career, right? So, hey, you know what's crazy? I just looked up Derek Stephan. His first 82 games, 45 points.
Huh. Weird.
That is unbelievable. All right. So Tim Stützle, number 4. Artem Zub, number 5. That moves us to number 3 on your most improved Senators.
All right. And after 3, we'll take a little break for 1 and 2. Keep the suspense going, Ross. So number 3, it's my targeted guy. It's my guy for the season, and that's Alex Formenton. Because, Ross, you and I got to see firsthand what he's able to do at the AHL level, and he was a bona fide stud down there. He was, like, apart from Jake Batherson and Josh Norris, like, he was kind of the 3rd musketeer down there, and he was a big reason why you bought a ticket to see the Belleville Senators, because he was exciting. He was putting up points. He was one of those guys, like, this is going to be an up-and-coming star for the Ottawa Senators. And then he got to the NHL, and he wasn't put in the right spots to succeed, in my opinion, when he started. He was only playing 10, maybe 11 minutes a night, kind of with mixed mashed line mates. He was getting some time on the PK, but not really utilized properly. And now, this season, he's playing a top 6 role where I thought he should be. He's with Tim Stützle, combining speed and skill together. That's a great pair. And he's really clicking on that PK unit, becoming an offensive threat, scoring shorthanded goals. So I really think Alex Formenton has done a very good job to improve his stock from the start of last season to where he is now.
If we were doing it from the start of this season to right now, he might be my number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Because he had a tough stretch, and COVID certainly affected it as well. But when you look at what he's done since being put on the wing with a center who has speed. Remember they put Formenton with Chris Tierney for the longest time as well. And it's just, you can't have these fast players who process the game so quickly with guys who just can't keep up. because then you lose speed in the neutral zone and you're just fighting an uphill battle from there. Like, and this is not Chris Tierney slander, perfectly fine third line center, but you need to have fast players playing with fast players. And Alex Formenton has certainly sped up his production in recent weeks, I'll even say, because going back and Pilsy's up, it's 2 shorthanded goals this month. Stewie pointed it out for us. So, hey, it was close, but even still, like, this guy, he flies shorthanded. And if he can put in, like, what, 20% of his breakaways, he's probably closer to 10% right now.
Honestly,
you're looking at a player who is going to provide top 6 upside, but you can move up and down the lineup. Kind of like Nick Paul, but I think we saw what topped out at Nick Paul's potential when you really tried to force him into an every night top 6 role. But with Formenton, just the flexibility that he gives a coach, he's a guy who any NHL head coach would love to have on their roster.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing, too. Like, it's pretty rare that you find a guy that can play in a top 6 offensive role, but also you can rely on the PK. Because usually you got to be like, all right, the top 6 guys, they're going to play top 6 even strength minutes and power play. The bottom 6 guys, they're going to play bottom 6 even strength and penalty kill. But he gives you a little flexibility there, so that's amazing.
Yes. So to recap, we've got number 5, Artem Zub. We've got number 4, Tim Stützle. And we've got number 3, Alex Formenton. Pilsy, do you want to take us into this suspenseful break with a word from our friends at Bet Online? Before you do, I'll let you know that I did not lose that parlay yesterday because about an hour after I made the pick at betonline.ag, the game was postponed. So that means it's give me my money back, and that way I don't lose the second leg where the team I told you to bet lost 6-3. Or is it 7-3? I don't even want to know. It was 6-3, and Minnesota pulled the goalie with 9 minutes left, Pilsy.
That's wild. Hey, Ross, now you know the parlay game. You'll probably win 1 out of 2, but that means nothing.
7-4 final score, I should say.
Yeah, whoops-a-daisy. But,
2 games tonight. Hit us with a parlay, though. I need it with betonline.ag. Promo code locked on, 50% welcome bonus.
Well, if there's only 2 games tonight, then I think it's going to be a fairly easy parlay to hit here. So let's log on to betonline.ag. And while I'm doing that, let me tell you why you should choose betonline.ag. They are the trusted sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Senators podcast. And for a good reason. You can get off the sidelines and get into the action with betonline.ag. They've got everything. Sure, the NHL is shut down right now for the most part, but they have football. They've got basketball. They've got everything else you need. And football playoffs are coming up, and it's getting close, and there's a lot of intense games going on. So let's head to the only 2 hockey games that are here tonight, though, Ross. And we got the Washington Capitals versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Tampa Bay Lightning up against the Vegas Golden Knights. Just quickly, I'm gonna go Caps and Knights. Let's just hit the favorites. Let's not try to get too cute with it here. So Caps and Knights, money line. Capitals, money line. Vegas Golden Knights. Put $10 in. You're gonna win $21.33 if those games do indeed go on. And you can do it by going to betonline.ag, using our promo code LOCKEDON. That's going to give you a 50% welcome bonus. You put $100 in, you're going to get $50 in free play money. So check it out today. Hit up Pilsy's parlay of the day for might be the last time you can do it in quite a while. So let's hit it. It's
World Juniors.
Oh yeah, World Juniors. Yeah.
Betonline.ag.
For NHL, this is the last time you're going to do it for a couple days here. So get off the sidelines, get into the action at betonline.ag.
All right, Pilsy, back to the power rankings. We are power ranking the most improved Ottawa Senators players from the start of last season. So get your time machine, go back to January 14th, 2020. I know that. Or sorry, 2021. See, I went way too far back in my time machine. So
careful there. I feel like that's how time machine, sitcom and comedy episodes, that's how they always go wrong, Ross. Someone bumps into the machine and goes back too far.
We were so young in January 2020, not knowing what the world was about to become. All right, let me recalibrate. Beep, 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 boom, bang. All right, now I'm in January 2021, and I'm letting you know that I thought that Josh Norris was going to be a good player, but I did not think he was going to come off of winning AHL Rookie of the Year and just continue the exact same production against the best players in the world. That earned him number 2 on your list.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for him to have such a seamless transition to go from the AHL to the NHL, and if we're properly calibrated in our time machines, Ross, we all, or at least I was in
I'm here.
Yeah, okay, good. At least I thought that Logan Brown was going to have the inside track on that second line center job. And Josh Norris was going to have a little more seasoning in the AHL and he was going to have to steal it away from him. Well, that didn't happen. And now that with some hindsight from the future, we know Logan Brown is not the second line center and neither is Josh Norris. He's the top center on this team. And it's incredible what he's been able to do. Like, on the power play, he's now one of those guys like Stamkos, like Ovechkin, where he has his spot. All the teams know it's coming. All the Senators players, they know it's coming. Yeah. But he's still able to score because if he gets time and space with that one-timer from the right face-off dot, bang, look out goaltenders because that thing is a bullet.
It's the kind of shot that earns you 31 goals in your first 84 NHL games. Oh, 85, right, because he played the one game, the Bobby Ryan special. Apu calling for it with the empty net, even when...
Always open.
Yeah, always open, even when Bobby was going for the hat trick on such an emotional night. But in the 84 games since the start of when we're calibrating our time machine, 31 goals, 57 points. And I think most impressive is the fact that he's got a 51.4% in the faceoff dot going up against, especially in the Canadian division, the top centers, the McDavids, the Matthews, the Scheifele's, all those guys, the Danaults even. Like he was going head-to-head against one of the best two-way centers, or I shouldn't even call them two-ways, one-way, but that one-way is calibrated on the defensive end. But I just think that the way he was thrown into just like, boom, you're the first-line center on this team because you're Brady Tkachuk's best friend. But he's proven that he's a whole lot more than that. He's his own man, and he's a hell of a hockey player.
Yeah, and I have such a love for shoot-first centers. Like, there's just something about them where it just simplifies the play and adds just a simple way to create offense. And when you have a shot like that, why wouldn't you be a shoot-first center? So, Josh Norris, love the kid. He definitely deserves a top 3 spot on our most improved players.
Lots of other guys could be on this list, but there's one that stands above all else. Pilsy, who is the number 1 most improved Ottawa Senator in the last 360 days.
Yeah, wow, that's a long time. It's Jake Batherson. Like, this is a guy who's not only is he's past a point per game pace this season. He has so many multiple point games this season. Ross, you willed his 3-point success into existence, and he's definitely repaid the favor. And for him to be able to just consistently put up points, he's playing on the top line with Norris and Batherson. You should be able to put up points, but to be able to put up points at the level he is incredible. And going back to the start of last season, I had Drake Batherson kind of as a good second line winger. That's kind of where I thought his floor and ceiling was going to put him, right around there. I thought Connor Brown was going to hold that number 1 spot just out of veteran experience, and he led the team in goals. So I really thought that's how things were going to play out. But with the top line being so good, so consistent, and all similar ages, like, they're going to be dominant for a long time. And now that Drake Batherson is locked up at an amazing contract, he's only going to be better focusing on hockey here. And for him to be able to be such a dual threat guy, like, you never know whether he's more dangerous passing the puck or shooting it, because he can find guys cross ice with a great pass when he has a good shot opportunity, or he can fake that he's going to pass it and just rip one right past the goalie. So his ability to be a pass or shoot threat option really opens things up for his line mates, Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris.
How many multi-point games do you think Drake Batherson has had since the start of 2021? Hint, he's played 79 games.
11.
17 multi-point games, including 3 4-point games.
I was going to say, yeah.
2 3-point games. And I'm not a math guy, but the rest of 17, 2-point games. It's truly incredible. When this guy gets one, he's very likely going to get another. It's super impressive. And the way he's imposed himself physically, lots has been made about Drake Batherson being on the smaller side when he got drafted, and maybe the thinner side because he was on the smaller side the year before. Nobody even picked him. He ultimately becomes a fourth round pick in 2017. I knew there was a 7 in there somewhere. But after that, as he's shown the off-ice work ethic, going out, finding a way to sneak into that group with Crosby, Batherson should be in the mix there. When you're talking about that Nova Scotia group, no longer is it just McKinnon, Crosby, and Marchand. Mix in Batherson.
He's not known by association. He's part of the boys now.
No, now it's Igor that's by association, but it's Batherson's a part of that quadrant of absolutely elite maritime talent. Logan Shaw's still working to get in there as well. But when you look at what Drake Batherson's done to bulk up off the ice and become like, what would you describe him as? Like, I have trouble because some nights I think he's a sniper. Other nights I think he's a playmaker. And then there's a third of the nights where he's a legit power forward.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he's the best combination of all three, in my opinion, because he's able to utilize the traits and strengths of all three of those role type players at any given time. Like, that's why he's gone from being a second line winger who can score and pass to being a first line winger that can play up with the big boys.
Yes, and he is only going to continue to get better. Already excelling. Like, if you just look at the growth, and this is why he's number one. If we go pre-2021, he had 19 points in 43 games. Like, still a decent percentage. But since then, now you're looking at a situation where he's got 62 points in his last 2 seasons, a little higher than 19.
Yes, that math
you can
guy,
confirm
that's a little bit better. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Ross, I think a big part of this too is he's now immersed himself as a key cog in the culture of the Ottawa Senators. You know what I mean? Like, he did the development process. He came up too early. It didn't work. He went back down, worked on things, got bigger, got stronger, came up, really took advantage of the opportunity he was given, climbed up the ranks in the lines for the Ottawa Senators, found a home on that top line, found a home on that top power play, and cemented his spot in there and signed long-term to show his commitment to his team. So he's a big part of the face and the identity of this franchise, even though he's a fourth-round draft pick that maybe a lot of us weren't really sure he was going to pan out like this.
What do you think his ceiling is as a forward on this team?
I have a hard time thinking his ceiling is more than where he is now. Like, if he can burst through what he's already doing, that will amaze me. Like, I think if he can stay at a point per game pace, that's amazing. That's right where I would have him, especially if he continues to play on this top line and the depth of this team gets better. So I think his ceiling is, he's found it. If he gets better than this, Ross, sheesh.
What would you say to people who wonder why Brady Tkachuk is not among these 5?
I mean, it's definitely something where you're like, he's the captain. He's got so many points since becoming captain, and he's been a leader. But I think he was already doing all those things, right? And that's the thing. Most improved doesn't necessarily mean best players. It's guys who have elevated their stock. And I would say, Brady's elevated his stock, but at a consistent rate with that I kind of expected him to. So I think these other guys, just where they started before January 15th, 2021, and where they are now, have shown bigger leaps and bounds of improvement rather than Brady has, where he's been consistently, steadily, slowly improving, which is great.
Consistently, steadily, slowly improving. I like that. But we already touched on it beforehand. Like 29 goals, 29 assists in his last 81 games is a hell of a stat line. And with all the intangibles he brings, he's one of the best players on this team, just not the most improved verse. Because he had such a high start.
Yes.
It's harder to improve when you've got that high start. So that's the final list. If you're just listening, Artem Zub, number 5, Tim Stützle, number 4, Alex Formanton at 3rd, Josh Norris at 2, and Drake Batherson, the most improved Ottawa Senator since January 14th, 2021. All right, Pilsy. So, a little World Juniors to touch on before we go. We also have Tony Ferrari coming up on tomorrow's show. Now, is it going to get contentious with Tony? I mean, he's best friend of the show, but he had some words for Ottawa Senators fans on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the theme lately is lots of people having words for Ottawa Senators fans, but you could take it or leave it with Sens fans, right? Like, I think that's the passion is finally setting through, and we are in a place where we have a lot of expectation and a lot of hope for the future, and we're not going to let other teams and fan bases knock us down. So I think it's going to be interesting when Tony comes on, because Tony also is a very kind of neutral guy, right? Like,
very self-deprecating too. He's a great guy. We like him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's going to be able to see that mostly we're having fun here, but Twitter also not a place where sarcasm and hyperbolic statements can be properly translated and people can understand. So sometimes things get out of hand, so I can understand that. But we'll try to straighten things out here with Tony.
Yeah, we'll straighten things out. We'll also get a World Junior preview with him. He just put out his list of top prospects for the 2022 draft. I know that we're breaking our own rule in a way because we're going to talk a little 2022 draft with him. It's pretty much 2022. The NHL's on pause, so give us a break. It's not the Shane Wright discussion. That's what I really just didn't want to hear about 15 games into the season. So we're going to ask who the most Sens player is among his top, let's say 40, because realistically, the Sens could take any of those guys in the top 10.
I was going to say, he's going to give us his 53rd ranked player, being like, the Sens are going to target this guy in the first round.
I've actually got it right here. I already said it's Chase LaPinta. So get ready for Chase LaPinta, who I believe, he's got him ranked 60. He's got him ranked 63rd.
Sounds
Shattuck
about
St.
right.
Mary's, although he's 5'9", so he's probably off the Senators' radar. Hey, Cole Knuble is in the draft. Remember we had his dad, Mike Knuble, on the show?
Yep, that was great.
Kind of cool. Yeah, he was awesome. He actually coached Jake Sanderson back at the BioSteel All-American game. So if you weren't listening to Locked On Senators, that's an episode I would recommend going back if you want to get hyped for Jake Sanderson at the World Juniors. Pilsy, couple minutes on World Juniors. We're going to get more into the preview with Tony tomorrow. We're hopefully going to get a Sens Central Citizen on Thursday. Again, no show on Friday, Christmas Eve. I'm heading to Ottawa. Can't wait. Hopefully going to the game on New Year's Eve afternoon. But we'll see. Of course, everything up in the air, but no show on Friday. We're going to have a couple. Maybe we'll go long on Thursday. We'll go long with we'll figure it out. I mean, when don't we go long? But with the World Juniors starting on Sunday, actually starting on Thursday, Pilsy, because we've got pre-tournament action. And I'm going to pull up exactly here on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Jake Sanderson, Tyler Clevin will begin their defense of a gold medal. You win, gold medal at the World Juniors. I just remember the photo of them with the trophy, but yes, you obviously get a medal as well. They're going to play Finland. So you get 4 Sens prospects in one game right off the bat. You've got Jarventi and Marilainen on one side. You've got Clevin and Sanderson on the other. So what a great way to start the World Juniors. And then at 7 p.m., Ridley Gregg will get his feet wet. I'm so nervous he's going to get suspended in this pre-tournament game. I'm nervous.
It would be very Ridley Gregg, but not before he gave us a highlight reel goal.
Yes, the Ridley Gregg hat trick. A questionable hit, a highlight reel goal, and ultimately a suspension at the end of the day. So interesting to note that both Canada and the States, and Finland, they're all in Edmonton. Russia, the 4th team there. And then in Red Deer, 4 p.m., Stutzla less Germany. And obviously no Tim Stutzel, but I love reminding people that he is still eligible to play in this tournament. 19 years old for the next 2 weeks. They're playing Slovakia, Czech Republic against Switzerland, and then Team Sweden is hosting Austria. I guess not hosting unless they're someone from Red Deer, but I highly doubt that. But Pilsy, always a fun time of year. What are you most excited about this year's World Juniors?
It's got to be Sanderson and Clevin, right? Like, Sanderson, this is going to be his big showcase to show all the internet scouts, all the non-Sens fans that, hey, a lot of people thought the Sens reached on this guy. You're about to see why you're wrong, because he's like, I expect him to be dominant in this tournament. I expect him to be if not the best defenseman in the entire tournament. And then Clevin is going to be a big step up from his role last year, where he was just kind of a fill-in guy and a last-minute player added to this team because of injury and COVID stuff. So those two, I think we're going to see a lot of. And then kind of honorable mention is, can we see a resurgence in Jarventi's game, right? This tournament did not go well for him last time around, but he's a new player. He's got AHL experience under his belt. He's got a lot to prove, so I'm going to be watching him closely here.
Absolutely. The next point Jarventi gets will be his first, and he played in 5 games last year. And Clevin, you mentioned it, he only got into 2 games. Although he did make an impact, a couple big hits, get off trolley tracks when the K-train's coming. So we're going to be following that very closely. Ridley Gregg seems to have found a home. Team Canada shuffling all their lines except for the third line. And it is a big, mean line that has offensive upside. Justin Sourdif is on his right side. The Florida Panthers third-round pick, plays for the Vancouver Giants with Zach Ostapchuk actually out there. And then on his left side, Jake Neighbors, who already has NHL experience under his belt. And Jake Neighbors was just named an assistant captain on this team, or alternate captain, if you want to get real into the nitty-gritty. Ridley Gregg centering that line. Just to finish up the captains for Team Canada, Caden Gully, the Habs pick, 16th overall in 2020. He'll be the leader of this team, and that I don't think comes as much of a surprise. Big, steady, stay-at-home defenseman. And then the other alternate captain is Cole Perfetti. And again, no surprise there. Team USA still yet to announce their leadership group. I will be shocked if it's not Jake Sanderson. The only alternative could be Matty Beniers. Yeah. But in an interview recently, Matty Beniers said he learned all of his leadership style from Jake Sanderson. So you think that would be a bit of a if he's the one wearing the C?
Yeah, I have very little doubt in my mind that it's going to be Jake Sanderson wearing that C.
All right. Well, we'll find out. And when we do, we'll let you know at Sens Central on Twitter. We appreciate everyone making Locked On Senators your first listen of the day or watch on YouTube. We really appreciate everyone subscribing to the channel there, watching the videos, including yesterday's where we dissect Tim Stützle's career start and if it is on pace for him to develop into a true superstar. All right, that's it for today. Only 2 games on the National Hockey League slate tonight, but we've got a fun interview coming tomorrow with Tony Ferrari. So stay tuned for that. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.